Well, I'm Anna Park, Ambassador for Public Diplomacy, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. I'm in charge of public diplomacy in terms of forming strategy and implementation. I can identify myself as Public Diplomacy National Team Director, and at the same time, I'm a major player. Well, public diplomacy is actually diplomacy toward foreign public. So it's different from traditional diplomacy. Traditional diplomacy is basically negotiation between government and government. But public diplomacy is diplomacy toward public. And the way to conduct diplomacy is a little different from the traditional diplomacy. Traditional diplomacy is based on its hard power, military power, economic power. But public diplomacy is based on cultural soft power. As Ambassador for Public Diplomacy, as I said, I'm drafting our country's strategy, grand strategy for public diplomacy. Then I coordinate public diplomacy activities done by various actors. And then I'm also engaged in daily operation as a main player. I make speeches to the public, foreign public, and I meet the foreign media, and I also organize some roundtables. Then I promote Korean foreign policy goals and policies. Then also engaged in various cultural activities, basically to promote Korean culture, traditional and modern culture. Well, it's very important in the relationship between Korea and China. Public diplomacy, the main goal is to win heart and mind of people. So by winning hearts and mind of Chinese people, we can broaden the support base for realization, implementation of our foreign policy. The more network we can make with the Chinese people, and the more understanding from Chinese opinion leaders like media and think tank on our goals and policies, then our relationship between Korea and China will have a very solid foundation. That is the role of public diplomacy. Well, as Ambassador of Public Diplomacy, my assessment should be positive. We made a lot of efforts to win the heart and mind of Chinese people through people-to-people contact, or through our cultural exchange, through policy-related round-the-table communications. We actually build up some trust among people. Even though we have some difficulties with China on certain issues, Korean people and Chinese people, the friendship hasn't been damaged. Still, we have very solid foundation. That's the power of public diplomacy, I believe. Well, definitely there are some challenges. One is related to external factors. Geographically, geoeconomically, Korea situation in this region is very much delicate. And our strategic interest and Chinese strategic interest, to some extent, they are different. So we have some difficulties in harmonize the different position and different ideas on certain hard issues, like security-related issues, North Korea nuclear-related issues, and the recent sub-deployment issues. So this strategic difference is very difficult to overcome, and it actually influences our people-to-people contact. The second one is somewhat internal factor of China. Chinese system is somewhat different from ours, and it's more central government centered. It's top-down decision. So once the central government decides something, then it can influence all other areas of a cooperation. So those are two main challenges. How to overcome, and the answer is public diplomacy. We have to communicate, and we should exchange our views in a very frank way, and we have to understand each other's different position and why they have different position. Then through this kind of communication, we can find some common ground. Then we can find some exit where to overcome the difficulties. So that is the role of public diplomacy. Before some conflict becomes a crisis, we have to manage it through public diplomacy. And once it becomes some crisis, then we also solve the problems, overcome the crisis through public diplomacy. Well, we had a very heated debate on the current Korea-China relations. And we evaluated that for last 25 years, our relationship developed so dramatically. But now we are facing new reality. Earlier, the problems we had with China was not very serious structural and strategic hard issues. But now we are now facing some strategic and structural problem, and we have a different strategy viewpoint. So that's very difficult, but it is time for us, for both of us, to look at the reality. Then, based on reality, we have to form a new type of paradigm to manage the difficulties, and then to pursue some future new partnership. That was the main issues we talked about. But basically, all the participants were quite optimistic about the future direction of our relations, because China is quite a precious partner for us, and same to China. And we cannot afford deteriorated relationship each other. So we have to cherish the relationship, and we have to further develop our relationship, forming new kind of paradigm. Well, I mentioned that the role of think tank is very important in managing our relationship and also upgrading our relationship. Think tank, through the communications, they know better about each other's position, and also they can suggest some policy alternative to the government respectively. So through the academic dialogue, they can find some common ground, they can draft some common picture, common discourse, where we are now stand and to what direction we should go. That's very important role of the think tank. So I emphasize the role, and the think tank is one of the major actors in public diplomacy. Jeju Forum as a platform to exchange ideas and to communicate each other. This year, I think Jeju Forum provided a very meaningful platform for the scholars and for the think tank from both sides to meet each other, to discuss on certain issues in a very frank way. And this year, this kind of a roundtable session on Korea-China relations, it's the first meaningful gathering. That is the role of Jeju Forum. It's a very valuable role, I believe. Well, Jeju Island, first of all, Jeju Island is very beautiful. So all the participants are very happy to be here. Then secondly, by attending Jeju Forum, we can have some insight and a new innovative idea on various issues. So it's kind of an idea market. And I think Jeju Forum should continue to further develop. Jeju Island is a forum to exchange ideas and innovative thinking, how to create more peaceful and prosperous Asia. So through Jeju Forum, we get a more clear vision. So it's congratulations on the successful Jeju Forum this year.